Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash. We're going to talk a little Pens hockey, mainly about Mario Lemieux and the possibility of him selling the team. A lot of Penguins fans are panicking. They think this means the team's going to leave town. The team's definitely not leaving town. They got like a 26-year lease with Consol Energy Center.
Yeah, they just signed that, right?
Yeah, they just moved into the stadium. They have the highest TV ratings of any North American team. Yeah, the organization isn't in the best shape player personnel-wise right now, but value-wise, this is the best time for Mario to sell if he's trying to make a profit.
I heard he wants to keep a small stake in the team, correct?
Yeah, he does want to keep a small stake. He wants to keep a role with the team, too. Mario's not a spotlight guy. As great as a player as he was, he never wanted to be in the spotlight. He never wanted it as an owner either. He's not a guy who loves, for people to be pandering around him. He's more of a quiet guy. He's not abandoning the franchise like people think. This is a guy who was owed millions of dollars by the organization whenever he retired. They were about to file bankruptcy. There was no possible way for him to ever get his money back. So he takes a controlling stake in the team.
Yeah, he probably never even wanted it in the first place.
Probably didn't, honestly. I love Mario, and I'm not saying anything bad. It never was his dream to own a hockey club, He did what he had to do to get his money, but at the same time, he saved Penguin hockey for a second time.
And now he gets to make a little money, so what's the problem with that? And he's probably exhausted, too. He probably just wants out of all this.
Yeah, the dude battled through cancer to keep playing hockey. His body, he doesn't have the cancer now, obviously, but you can only take so much. He's had a bad back his whole life. He just wants to be a quiet old dude with his family, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of the media in this town is trying to sensationalize the story, and I hate it. They're trying to make more of a story out of it. It's not a big, huge deal.
Was there another partial owner already there?
Ron.
They're just
Ron
trying to
Burkle.
get some new money in here is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, from what I hear, too, Burkle doesn't want to sell any of his controlling stake. At first, it was reported that they were both looking. They hired Morgan Stanley to value the franchise. But now, from what I hear, Burkle wants to keep his stake. And, like we already said, Mario wants to stay there. The team needs some work, though. I'll tell you that. They're not very deep at forward. GM Jim Rutherford and Coach Mike Johnson come under fire this year. Rutherford didn't make the best deals during the season. He traded away a lot of draft picks, so we don't really have any way to replenish what we have right now. And we're stuck with some big contracts. But the value is at its height for this franchise. The stars are signed to long-term deals. They got a long-term lease locked up in a great building in a great town that loves them. So why wouldn't Mario sell? It makes perfect sense if this was never his plan to begin with, to buy the team and enjoy all this limelight. He was just trying to get his money. He just wanted to help save us again. He did what he was supposed to do, and I love him for it. I admire the guy.
Knowing how you feel about Pittsburgh sports, what would you think if Bob Nutting bought him?
They would go down in flames if Bob Nutting bought him.
No, he would turn it around into the best franchise ever.
Well,
I'm not saying Kevin McClatchy buy him. I'm saying Bob Nutting.
Bob Nutting has absolutely nothing to do with anything the Pirates actually do, first of all. He's just their money guy.
Well, yeah, listen, though. You're right.
He needs to give them more money if they want to catch
That's
the
why
Cardinals.
I don't think it would affect the Penguins that much if
I always thought the Pirates should have let Mario buy them and said, screw you,
But if
Nutting.
you look at it, back in the 90s, the Pirates had an $8 million payroll, and now it's at $100. So you can't be that mad with Nutting. But yeah, I was just asking what you thought.
No, I'd be miserable if Nutting bought the team.
I figured.
I hate Bob Nutting. I don't know why, but I do. I don't even like the Pirates, so it doesn't matter to me. I don't know. I just hate Nutting. But all you Pens fans out there who are panicking, you need to panic more about this team.
Please believe.
The lack of depth at forward. From what I'm hearing now, Josh Yohe was talking the other day on the radio. Pasquale Dupuis may never even make it back from this knee injury he suffered this year. I believe it was another torn ACL. This is a guy that doesn't have a huge contract, and he would be a great third-line player. The rest of his body's in great shape. He would fit the role. He accepts any role the team gives him, but he just might not be able to make it back. They're stuck with Kunin's contract. They're stuck with the Scuderi contract. They're stuck with Ben Lovejoy's contract.
Well, listen, I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I hear a lot on the radio of people either wanting to get rid of Malkin or getting rid of Crosby.
Which is a mistake either way.
Both of them? You want to keep them both?
Yeah, and I get what people are saying, that we have no depth and we need to retool. And the best way is, if you trade Malkin, you can get a couple different players to plug into different spots. I'm a very firm believer in any sport, hockey, football, baseball, whatever it may be. If you give up the best player, you lose. I don't really like package trades. I mean, I'm not saying they've never worked. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's impossible to make it work. To me, if you're giving up the best player in the deal, you're going to lose.
Yeah, it's sad because Crosby was a beast. He's still a beast. He's still probably the best player in the NHL.
It's more debatable now than it was a few years ago, though.
But yeah, all those head injuries really got to him, I believe.
The way they're letting hockey be now, too, they're letting these players start to clutch and grab. They're letting them get away with whacking them in the ankles again. And I'm not just saying Crosby. I'm just saying the game in general. The refs are letting more go. It's getting to that clutch and grab trap zone era again that it was before the last lockout. And if it keeps heading down that direction, it's going to lose fan interest again. Fans don't want to see that. Grit doesn't sell tickets. Stars sell tickets. Look at the NBA. They have Steph Curry versus LeBron James in this final. That's one of the best finals they could have ever asked for. 2 stars. That's what they want.
I think a couple years ago I'd have been really upset if they'd even thought about Dylan Crosby. But now, I could accept it at least.
They're not going to deal Crosby.
I'm not saying they're going to, but
it's going to be Malkin.
Even if it was 2-3 years down the road, I think I could accept it because he's not really going to be that all-time player like he's still going to go down in history as one of the best players. Don't get me wrong. But at one point, it looked like he was going to be the best player ever.
It could have been. The head injuries, along with the way the game's played, have really slowed him down. Having no supporting staff around him doesn't help out either. Gretzky always had a great team around him. Mario, he helped build the franchise, but they put a great team around him. Mark Messier had great teams around him. You know what I mean? These guys had players to help them. You can't win in hockey by yourself, and if you're the only guy out there, it's very easy for the other team to match up their best defensive forwards and best defensive pairing up against your one good defense or good offensive player. So it's easy to shut stars down in the NHL.
If they had to trade one, who would you rather it be? Crosby?
It's got to be Malkin. First of all, I hear Malkin isn't happy here right now. He's never really been happy playing second fiddle to Crosby. He's always played his best when Crosby was out, which was weird. But I would never give up Sid. He's the face of the franchise. He's the face of the NHL. He's the most popular player in hockey. He has the most upside out of the two. He has better leadership qualities than the two. He's just the better star to build your team around.
I'd like to see the records when both are out, or one is out and one is in. I feel like the Penguins do better when Malkin is healthy if Crosby's hurt than if Crosby's healthy and Malkin's hurt.
Sometimes it's just a product of people trying to step up because they know their star's hurt. And I know Malkin's a star too, but like I said, he's not a rah-rah guy. He barely even speaks the language still. So, he just pretty much sits in his locker room by himself. He doesn't have Sergei Gonchar there with him anymore like he did early in his career, another Russian that he could talk to and feel comfortable with. Russians are notorious for getting finicky and just unhappy, and they always think that the grass is greener on the other side. So, it wouldn't surprise me if Malkin is unhappy here. I was actually asked this question by a radio host in town, if you remember, about a year ago, should the Penguins trade Malkin? And I'm still going to say no. They shouldn't trade either, but if they do, it's got to be Malkin over Sid.
All right, so is there any names of anybody you'd like to see come in and buy this team? It doesn't really matter just as long as they have some money, right? Because, there's a salary cap. It's not like baseball.
Right. Anybody who isn't going to meddle in the way things are, as far as, we may not have made the right personnel moves over the last couple of years. That happens. But we still try to be a winning organization. I don't want an owner who's just trying to put money in his pocket. I want an owner who's willing to pay what he has to, and like you said, there's a salary cap, so you can't just go crazy, but do what it takes to win. Sometimes that doesn't always mean, spending full salary cap. That's like facilities, you know what I mean? You got to keep upkeep on the arenas. You got to keep the team popular. You got to make the right moves. So just somebody, if they will just kind of buy it and take a back seat and let the organization do their thing, I'd be happy.
Mark Cuban's not a hockey fan, huh?
Actually, he was one of the people linked, not confirmed, but linked to buying them when they were for sale. So there's an opportunity. He tried to buy the Pirates.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball
I'm sure
wouldn't
I'd
let
like
him.
to get in on those Steelers too.
Yeah. So, it wouldn't surprise me. He's, Mount Lebanon, I think he's from?
Yeah, somewhere around here, I know. I don't know what he's doing in Dallas.
He's very brash. I don't know if the NHL would let him buy in. They don't like that.
Well, I know there's a couple sports where you can only own a team in that sport. I forget what sport. I think it may be baseball, correct? You can only own a baseball team. You can't own another.
I think so, yeah.
I can't remember what sports it is, to tell you the truth.
Football, obviously, you can't own a stake in two different teams at the same time.
Right.
But the Pens need to do something. The ownership, like I said, it doesn't worry me as much about the roster. So fans, don't freak out. Mario's not going away. Don't turn on him, freak out, go crazy. Just relax. He just wants to calm down a little bit, retire. He's earned it.
Well, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't care if he faded off into the sunset and just lived his life.
He deserves it. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks, Dash, for coming in and talking Pens hockey. I know you hate it. It's all right, because I do baseball segments with you every week. Thank you, fans, for hanging out with us. You guys can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to that YouTube channel.